All right, folks, TGIF, and we are rounding third, heading on home here this afternoon, Friday afternoon, April 5th, that is for the records. But great to see Susie and Margaret still with us here, and we had Wendy just right now joining us here, and the ladies at the trading room all together right there, and perhaps Leda as well, waiting for the Friday riddle still. But great to see Gary. I had Grant before, I had Bill before, I had Charles, Joyce, Alan, Alex, a lot of our students. Perhaps they may have left, started their weekends early. I don't blame them. I really don't blame them. Up there's Leda inside our live trading room there, loud and clear from her. Ron, like myself, waiting for that Friday riddle. We'll get to that, I'm sure, just a bit. All right. So, well, I'll tell you what, if you took off early, I don't blame you because we haven't gotten too much of anywhere since like 12:30, 1 o'clock. The last hour and a half, 2 hours, things have been pretty slow, flat. Maybe there's been one trade actually pushing back up. Actually, might I say two, Susie? CGC, ACB, those pot stocks, both, right? I mean, CGC had a little bounce earlier here, pretty volatile stock, and I mean that in a good way. You know, volatile is not always a bad word, right? It's only a bad word when there's no big money out there in the order book, when there's a 15, 20-cent spread and thin volume out there like here. You know, it's got a tiny spread, 1 to 3 cents maybe, but pretty liquid. ACB, which has been the better of the two, like really this week, from the end of last week into basically yesterday. The ACB trade was really the star of this week. So, pushing back up itself, I kind of fall towards the other one a little bit more, CGC. That's just me personally. Both are very tradable. I could put them on our list to begin. I'm going to put them on our side list, though, to start off, though. And what we'll do is just go right from top to bottom across the gainers list. I had a question from one of our new members earlier, and it's just tough to provide a very thorough explanation on some questions, especially if they're like relating to volume, right? But more so, this one was simple, where it was like, am I doing the wrong thing by trying to scan for stocks, the gainers list, but based off of the dollar amount here, right? And it's actually funny because I had joked around at the time. It was a semi-joke. I guess I was right with saying it, but if you do that, your top stock is going to be what, Berkshire Hathaway? I was joking when I said that there, at least, but obviously that is the case. Number one, what is it, booking.com, number three here. So, you're not going to really find stocks that are A, trading a lot of volume because they're so expensive, and then B, otherwise, how many shares can we really trade of those? So that's why we typically, try and follow the percent gainers list, the stocks that have made the largest move by percent from yesterday's close. Now, obviously, not all of those are going to be active. A lot of them are going to be washed up at this point. Like I said, the last hour and a half, 2 hours outside of maybe that CGC trade, things have been pretty slow. MDIA had a great pop earlier today, so we'll talk about that. Stock took off pretty much as soon as the market opened up. It wasn't really on the main morning watch list I put out there because, as you could see, just at 8 o'clock, it fell flat. It was dropping back down after. It was going nowhere leading into the open. So it was on our pre-market list. We were hopeful for that pop at 8 o'clock. Didn't get it. Well, hey, as soon as the market opened up, of course, it popped back up on our scanners. We followed it right away at that point. Ended up building the higher lows, you could see, roughly off of 325, 330-ish here. And obviously made a huge pop after. But, if I were to go back on another trade, the CADL, hey, this stock from yesterday, I basically told you when one crazy stock pops like 300% or so, like this made yesterday, and this even ran up higher this morning, as you could see. But yesterday alone, it was up 300%. It's going to bring out the crazies. It's going to bring out some of the other stocks like low float, low volume that could potentially make that same type of reaction. So easy to say in hindsight, but hey, MDIA made that pop. Now, XXII, this is one I was hoping for with that in mind. This was up maybe like 30% at the time, 35% at the time. Now, this ended up making a push right off of $2, and at like 208 the price was, right? We were talking about that on a couple different one-on-ones earlier today. It's easy to say in hindsight because of just what we saw in level 4 on the heat map. But once it broke above, rebroke above that 208 level, there was no looking back, right? It ended up just completely taking off from there. Thankfully, there was room for at least another opportunity as it built support from, you could even say 250-ish. We were looking more off of 280, 290 at that point than 3. So it led to a decent play heading into the early to mid-afternoon. Wasn't bad. Just obviously didn't break higher. And if it's not going to make that higher high, the chances of it pulling back, double bottoming, or even breaking lower increase that much more. So, you know what? Hey, at this stage, does it hurt us to put the XXII on our main list? Hasn't technically broken lower, right? So for that reason, I guess I'll just kind of add it for now. But if it ends up tanking like mid-meeting, then you let me know. How about that? You let me know as I go through, and I'll probably scrap it. All right, BTTR. This thing's dragging down. I think this may have even got halted on the way down. It looks like here moved right on up towards whole number resistance at $10. Looks like it topped off at 994. And just got smashed. Yeah, this got halted on the way down. That's a loser. That's not looking good. Unfortunately, what comes with some of the crazies making a pop means like some stocks that have no liquidity, no volume, and you're going to get caught holding a big bag if you don't really know how to manage that trade, or if you can't even. So, DXYZ, this had a big pop today. You could just tell looking at this chart, but I wasn't even watching this. I didn't even know that this hit 75. So there's that. What goes up comes back down, right? And that's not even to say on the crazy stocks. It's even on this thing here too. HUBC just had a nice push earlier today, right? Nice little push. But otherwise, it came back down. Lower high, lower low, broke below the VWAP there as support. So with that, we'll just kind of move forward from this trade. It's trying to make another little push back up, but otherwise, just there's other trades. Let's see what else we got here. This one's cheap. Too cheap. 26 cents. Didn't mean to click it. My bad. Anything below $1, we're just skipping pretty much completely. Now this one, CADL. Hey, we were looking for this to try and at least break resistance off of 9. And hey, the more times it could test it in a shorter concentration, there's a case for it. But once it rebroke it here, there's a strong rejection. That's not good. And then from that point, ended up completely pulling. See, that's the issue then. For a stock that made such a big pop yesterday, you're not trying to swing trade it going into the next day. I think that's honestly pretty poor management overall, because there's a huge difference between a day trade and a swing trade, and the difference is known before you press the buy button. You know what I mean? You don't want to just recklessly change your game plan overnight. So when we called it out, it was a day trade. You get in, you get out, and hey, maybe the next day if it could pop, you could try and jump back in. And at least for this stock, that actually came into fruition. There was a maybe here. It did pop again afterwards. So, most stocks end up actually just gapping down and then dropping. So, this gave us a second run. I think that we're done with this trade, though, for the time being. CADL. It was nice knowing you. We'll come back to you shortly, I'm certain. Give it a month or 2, 3. Who knows? All right. Let's see. What else we got here? Blade, BLDE. I know a few of our students had Blade earlier today, right? Irving was on that. Maybe I think it was just him. Perhaps he had a few comments. Maybe it was just him. But in and out, he was at 380. He rebought it at 362, out at 376. He went off to a bowling tournament. Wishing our student Irving well here. He wrote that earlier in Toledo. So wishing him well on his travels and in his bowling tournament. He used to be a decent bowler, but man, I lost not the touch, but it's just I can't compete. I'm not as good of a bowler as I want it to be, basically. But basically here, hey, Blade ended up leading to a nice pop early this morning. The better part about it now is that it is holding. It's holding at the highs, moving back up. Looks a little like spotty, is it? Yeah, a little spotty of a graph. But otherwise, it has great order book. It's the type of liquidity you'd want to see on level 3. Hopefully, more people step in and just break through that sell volume there. But I'll add Blade. You got 2 stocks there now. XXII, Blade, maybe the pot stocks, maybe. All right, what else we got here? CDE minor, I think, right? GDXU. Probably find some gold stuff on here, right? Gold, silver stuff on here, maybe. Scanner refreshing on me. There we go. IMPP, I saw this from earlier here. It was moving up nicely, but it wasn't trading a whole lot of volume on the total day. Had good order book, though, which I liked. Just it hasn't gone anywhere since, right? This stock could be a short squeeze candidate. That's pretty how do you say, ambiguous, just vague, pretty vague. Could be, just because you don't know when, where, how. Well, the fact that this is breaking above resistance again on the weekly chart back from earlier this year, it looked like it was kind of holding generally that area back in May of last year. Hey, as long as we see support get flipped into, there could be a case to see a higher high. I mean, even for this afternoon, maybe next week. So I don't mind giving it a look. It has a penny spread. It's had a penny spread the whole time. Been watching it for the last couple hours. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot that could look like this that might pop, maybe, possibly, and those words I do not like using. So, I don't want to add much more that looks like this. And from there, we'll see if there's anything else looking decent. We'll see anything better. Number 4. Well, it's actually pushing up that trade at least there, right, as I move on. But yeah, that trade IMPP, and perhaps that could make the higher high. All right, let's hop over to the losers list, seeing if there's anything looking just as good, if not better. Nothing really down too much percentage-wise for like a dead cat bounce. That's fine with it there, but everything else is hard to borrow. And, maybe you could just use the short locate app, but honestly, doing this long enough, just you can go through this losers list relatively quick. You know what? We did have Tesla earlier today. It dropped off nicely this morning, pulling back a little bit here. Let's take a look at the market for right now. SPY had a nice bounce back up earlier today and chopped up at first, then made a better push. Lower high since, but hasn't really gone much of anywhere overall. But getting back to Tesla, I'm going to just keep it on my side list for right now. If you do well on Tesla day to day, then definitely follow it. Definitely put it on your personal list. Shout out to my student Gary here in chat. He's probably tuning in. His bread and butter stock, I'll always say. But yeah, let's call, folks. Up, down, left, right, more than 5%. Anything else that you'd want me to look at, call out here. Now's your chance. Check back on the pot stocks for right now. CGC. Yes, this one in particular is looking pretty good. I mean, up a lot more percentage-wise compared to that ACB. I could probably put both on our list, but CGC is looking pretty good here today. So I'll add that. I guess I'll add the ACB too, like I said. STRC. Got a chat on YouTube on that. So pushing up now, I don't know, maybe if I skipped over this or if this was going from bottom to top as I was going from top to bottom. Honestly, I don't really see it here. What was that there? STRC, it said. It's only trading 670,000 shares total in the day. IMPP wasn't trading a whole lot when I was looking at it earlier. So, that's where I kind of look at the order book and see, all right, are we on a bit of a spread? If so, then I'm not going to be as interested in. It is up 23%, which is decent. But there is there you go. Right now, it's just opening up a 7-cent spread I saw for a split second. I'm not trying to, try and go into something low float or not just that, but low volume. So I'll pass on this trade for the time being. I'll write it down for the side list though. You only stock me on my side list since I put the other two on the main list. MDIA not going anywhere. FRGE. Ooh, hello. Hello. Definitely a good looking chart and good looking order book for the time being. 13,000 share seller, even up top here at 239. That could be like a little target to watch out for there. You know what? Yeah, it's a good look. I don't mind to hear this FRGE. All right. Anything else? I'll go one more then. I was going to say if you're going to have a crappy chart, that would be my, my cue to finish up. Okay, so this one, I guess I don't have my price filter set properly, so my apologies there. All right, last one or two. Yeah, I think that now we'll finish up here. Maybe a potential gap fill in this STI looking at the daily. But outside of that, I like what we got here primarily first. XXII, Blade, IMPP, you got the pot stocks, FRGE. Don't worry, you don't need to remember that all. I'm going to type it out to you in just a little bit, folks. So for all of us on YouTube, for all of us on Facebook Live, just on social media streams and platforms alike, enjoy the weekend. Again, I said that earlier, but if you were not there, even furthermore, TGIF, hope you have a fun weekend. Hope you're having it. First off, actually, for anyone up in the Northeast, oh my goodness, yeah, what, a 4.8 on the Richter scale earthquake earlier? Jesus. I mean, I had to call my parents, make sure they're all right. No, I mean, thankfully everyone was good to go. It wasn't as crazy as one would possibly imagine one to be. Thank God. But yeah, that's a pretty crazy story to hear about, right? I'm from New York, so I moved to Florida a couple years ago. Yeah, what 4.8, 5.0 earthquake, whatever it was. Have a safe weekend. Have a fun weekend. But otherwise, we'll catch back on Monday. Hey, either way, for all of us inside the trading room, at least, there right now. Rich will be on the mic coming up soon. I'll be in chat intermittently. But either way, folks, best of luck trading all together, and we'll catch back with everyone going into Monday. Take care.